Okay, so we're back. I was gonna watch YouTube videos until I went to bed, but my mind kept racing, thinking about everything I just read, and how excited I was to fill in some gaps, and we're gonna keep on reading and see how far we get. So, this next chapter is called The Most Beautiful Day of Our Lives. The first entry is Yumi, May 22nd, year 22. Finally, we saw the shore outside the window. We all stared at it, but no one spoke. The sky was clear, as if they should be. The sky was blue and the clouds white. Because we were in a fast-moving car, the outside scenery looked still, but not lifeless. Being in that space where the sky, the ocean, and the shore all came together, my heart fluttered with excitement. No matter how long I stared at it, I couldn't get used to its force of life and vitality. It showed us clearly how gigantic the world was, and conversely, how insignificant we were. The fastest speed we could generate was probably one tiny movement in this world, and suddenly I had a question. Why had we all come all the way to the beach? Next entry is Jins Entry on May 22nd, year 22, same day. I don't know why, but I stopped. Soon Jungkook would say he'd like to take a picture in front of Seokjin's car. Jungkook would point to my car and Jimin would climb up on the hood, followed by Taehyung, Hoseok, Jungkook, and Yoongi. When Namjoon would shake his head as if to say no one could stop these guys, I'd set the camera timer and walk in front of it. Out of the blue, so many moments swirl around in my head. The pouring sunlight, the happy faces, laughter, the fishy smell of the ocean, the camera shutter. Seokjin, hurry up! A voice calling me. All of it popped up and disappeared before I could hold on to it. Going through countless time loops, I came here again and again to take a picture, but I'd forgotten about it. I grabbed my head and turned around. It felt as if a sandstorm was blowing through my head. Every moment at the beach was bright, painful, and aching. I couldn't bear the torment and sorrow. I didn't know why. Next came the physical pain, the similar emotion and the similar pain that I had felt at Namjoon's container, but it was much worse and vicious compared to the last time. There will be a price. Is this the price that the voice meant? The unexpected headache I'd have to endure? I didn't mind it if I could find a clue to end this cycle. Even if I had known that I'd be subject to god-awful headaches, I would have chosen to find a clue and pay the price. I had to be cool-headed, more rational, so that I could save myself from the never-ending cycle of time. Taehyung's entry, same day. Let's take a picture here, Jungkook said to Seokjin. Without waiting for his answer, he pointed to Seokjin's car. Jimin climbed up on the back hood, followed by Yoongi and Hoseok. Seokjin stayed where he was, frowning. He still took out his camera and set it up in front of us. Hoseok gestured for him to join us, but Seokjin shook his head, looking stoic. After pressing the camera shutter, he peeled his eyes off the camera. I walked towards Seokjin, not because I was particularly concerned with how he was. As the sun set behind him, I saw his face. In the pained look on his face, so many other expressions also surfaced, and in one moment, our eyes met. But lost in a thought, he didn't even realize that. Are you okay? I went closer to Seokjin. He was himself, the Seokjin that I'd known. That was the only way I could describe him. He was the Seokjin that I met 2 years ago, the real Seokjin. The one who smiled awkwardly when teased by his friends who were younger than him. The one who seriously listened to his friends' troubles. And the one who always hesitated and thought about what would be a better choice for us. Soon afterwards, I was faced with a different Seokjin, the one with the same expression as when he had been caught by Namjoon while talking to the principal in the classroom. Y'all remember that? That was the day Jin ratted everybody out. I remembered his eyes from back then, his eyes that said, I don't know how it happened, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to get out of this, help me. He pulled out the Polaroid picture and turned around. The others were still joking around on the rear hood. Before I could say anything, he turned around, with his head in his hands. It was obvious he had a headache, and he crumpled up the picture and threw it on the ground, and he started walking towards the observatory. I picked up the picture and smoothed it out. I didn't want the time we'd spend together to be ruined. With the picture in my pocket, I followed him. So that explains how in the BTS Universe trailer, he ended up with the picture. Okay. So, Jin's entry, May 22nd, second entry. I don't need anyone's help and I don't help anyone, I told Taehyung. That's kind of like the arm thing where he threw him off him, right? I'd come to this observatory countless times. This is the first that Taehyung had followed me there. Each time loop was inevitably different, but this time it irked me that Taehyung was doing different things. Taehyung said, "Do you remember the time we came here as high schoolers? We looked for a boulder that was said to grant us our wish, and we walked all the way here sweating, only to find out it had been shattered into pieces. Did you make a wish then?" Instead of answering him, all I said was, "Let's go down. I'm going to go down too." I tried not to sound too cold. If Taehyung had jumped off from the observatory, everything would have been in vain. Remember how you and I went around looking for Yoongi back in those days? We were afraid that he would get kicked out of school because he had been cutting classes, so we went around the whole city looking for him. Taehyung continued, and Namjoon got sick, so we tried to cover for him at the gas station and his boss gave us hell. Why would I remember that stuff? I couldn't keep my cool and ended up blurting it out. Taehyung looked up at me and continued, "You remember the first day we met? We were late and had to clean up the classroom. I remember that day." As punishment. And the time you bought me and Jimin jjajangmyeon? Y'all are gonna have to help me out with this word. Jjajangmyeon on the first day of school. Taehyung spoke in a shrill voice as if he were demanding an answer. I told him again, why would I remember that stuff? He remembers. Taehyung lunged at me and grabbed my shoulder. Caught off guard, I staggered. For one moment, I almost lost my balance and came close to falling off the observatory. Because Taehyung pulled me, I fell forward on the ground. Taehyung almost screamed, "Are you going to forget me soon? Jimin too, and Jungkook, and Namjoon? Do you know who you are?" Tears were about to trickle down from his bewildered eyes. He looked straight into my eyes and said, "I know you're helping us. I don't know how. I can't explain it." Taehyung stammered and seemed as if he didn't know what he was saying, but he still continued. "What I mean is, you were there for Yoongi. You called and you went to the hospital. I mean the emergency door on the second floor. What I mean is, what is wrong with you? Why have you changed so much? What is the problem? You have to tell us so that we can help you." I didn't look away and listened until Taehyung finished. I was sad and angry at the same time. Taehyung said I helped him, but that was not true. I did what I had to do to break away from the time loop. They want to help me? It almost made me smirk. Taehyung must have thought I had a problem. I did have an important task. Finding the map of the soul, preventing the accident on September 30th. They couldn't help me with it. I shoved him away and said I don't need anyone's help, and I don't help anyone. So we know that the accident happens on September 30th, right? And I'm a little like shaky on the details and remembering the September 30th. September 30th was at the beginning, right? April 11th, September 30th, yeah. Okay, so that was the day of like the big demolition. Okay, so Jins Entry, 22nd of May, same day, right? You're 22. Blocking the sunlight with my hand, I looked up the observatory. Seokjin climbed up first and Taehyung followed him. And I suddenly had deja vu. This had happened before. Not only me, but everyone was looking up at the observatory. Jimin said, "Do you remember the beach we went to before? With the boulder that granted your wish? Is this the same place?" The next moment, Taehyung and Seokjin reeled as if they were about to fall from the observatory, and the sandstorm began to blow. I covered my face with my arms and closed my eyes. I wanted to see what was going on at the observatory, but I couldn't open my eyes in the whirl of sand. I heard the whirling sound of wind and felt the coarse sand on my skin for a while. It took a couple of minutes for the wind to subside, and when I finally opened my eyes, Seokjin was coming down and Taehyung was still standing on the observatory looking down on him. Okay, so this is Jins Entry from the same day. Everything happened all at once. Seokjin came down and left just like that. Hoseok asked Taehyung what had happened, but he wouldn't say a word. We couldn't stay at the reserved lodge by the beach because the reservation was under Seokjin's name, but that wasn't important. We would have decided to go back even if it hadn't happened. No one said it, but we all started heading back to the station. I was walking behind everyone. It had been only a couple of days since I ran away from the hospital. Okay, so the fact that they're walking means that Jin's gone, right? Because Jin was driving. It felt awkward around everyone except for Hoseok. I looked at Taehyung, who was walking next to me. I called his name, but he didn't hear me. "Are you okay?" I asked him again. Taehyung looked up and started walking faster. I didn't know what else to do but to walk with him. Taehyung called Namjoon. "I have a favor to ask." Namjoon stopped and said, "What?" His face looked strangely distorted. Taehyung went closer to him, but Namjoon suddenly turned around and started walking in big strides. Obviously, he hadn't heard Taehyung, or he didn't want to hear what he had to say. It was a flat refusal. Taehyung just stood there watching him, and slowly he lowered his head. So this is like the whole uncomfortable vibe that was going on with them before is starting to happen again, right? This is Jin's entry, same day, third entry. When I couldn't see the beach anymore, I took my foot off the accelerator. The sun had set long ago and the road was empty and dark. The headache would not go away, neither would the sense of disquietude. I have no idea what that word means, but okay. It wasn't like me to get all worked up like this, and I didn't know how to calm down. I looked in the rearview mirror and was reminded of Taehyung's face. "Are you going to forget me soon? Jimin too? And Jungkook and Namjoon?" Jungkook's voice was also ringing in my head. "Let's take a picture here." The countless pictures I'd taken there by the beach flipped through my head, which felt as if it would explode. I opened my eyes at the loud honking sound and saw the headlights right in front of me. As a reflex, I turned the wheel. The tires skid against the asphalt and shook the whole car. I stepped on the brake, but it took a while for the car to halt. The car crashed into the opposite guardrail and finally stopped. I heard a scraping sound, but I didn't think it was a serious accident. I opened the car door and stepped out. I felt the cold breeze, either from the tension or the headache. My neck was all sweaty. The road was empty of cars. The car that was flashing its light was also gone. I felt frustrated. Why did I say yes to the contract in the first place? Why did I have to go through the same thing again and again? How could I save Namjoon? And where was the map of the soul? You can keep asking that question, but we really don't have any definitive answers here. So, alright, and that ends that chapter. We're going to move on to the next chapter.